I'm Mark Weiss. Welcome to Wisdom Applied.
I received a number of requests that I go into a bit more depth on the subject of ACOs, and in particular the issue of physician control. I realize that the common usage of the acronym, the one appearing in the Patient Protection Act, Obamacare, is Accountable Care Organization. But considering the identity of the chief proponents of the concept, it would be better for you to consider ACO to mean Absolute Control Organization. The push for ACOs was made principally by three categories of healthcare financiers: large employers seeking to reduce costs, insurers seeking to reduce costs, and government, that is Medicare, seeking to reduce costs. Quality of care is not the issue and never was. It's the window dressing. Here, look at this. This is how Obamacare describes the deal between government and an ACO. Regulations will establish benchmarks for cost of delivering care, which conforms with quality standards. Medicare will make initial payments. The ACO reports back on costs and quality. Then, says Obamacare, if the ACO meets cost goals for achieving the required level of quality care, Medicare will share those cost savings by making a subsequent incentive payment. That's the official story. But here's the rub. The payment and data reporting elements are not static. They're ongoing. Incentive payment is conditioned on reporting, and on reporting the right numbers. And as time progresses, the loop becomes self-reinforcing, with more and more data on the actual cost required to meet a stated level of quality. Medicare can either reduce the size of the initial payment, reduce the size of the share of savings payment, or both. And this can continue until all so-called waste is removed from the system, at which point the masquerade of sharing cost savings drops away. But why do you need an ACO to accomplish this? After all, the same method of tying financial incentives to cost goals, and if you are so inclined to actually believe that quality is really a factor, financial incentives to quality goals can be applied to the current system of paying providers and provider groups directly. ACOs enter the equation because instead of having to do the work and accept the political risk of squeezing down each provider, the government can use the ACO to capitate, to shift the risk and the burden of getting physicians and hospitals and others to deliver more for less, or so they hope. If you want to be completely cynical, they might even hope to have the system fail, in which event the government will swoop in to save the day through actual or virtual nationalization. But why do large employers and commercial healthcare insurers, the two other industry proponents of the ACO model, care what Medicare does? It's because these insurers and the large employers who pay premiums to them want to take advantage of the fact that Medicare's ACO model will push down the level of overall reimbursement to which they will tie payments under their commercial plans, and because they seek to piggyback on Medicare's efforts and be able to make capitated payments to the same ACOs. They will have used Medicare as a club to achieve what they could not do on their own. This begs the question that the same government power they hope to co-opt might turn around and eat their lunch, or even them, too. Turning to the ACO itself, the entity acts as a funnel for the distribution of funds from payers. The key issue, then, is who controls the funnel. Now, hospitals are already spending millions on designing ACO structures, even in the absence of the ACO enabling regulations and the law changes that will be required to clear the way from existing anti-kickback statute issues, existing Stark law issues, existing private remuneration issues, and existing antitrust issues, just to name a few. Of course, these hospitals see themselves in charge of the ACO future. They envision structures such as this. in which the hospital controls the aligned physicians through a hospital-affiliated management services organization or through direct employment, or, in states with strong prohibitions on the corporate practice of medicine, indirectly through a hospital-controlled foundation. My point, however, is that physicians have been handed an opportunity to employ a strategy developed as a part of Advisory Law Group's strategic group process, the situation transformer, to flip the situation. Instead of control running from the hospital or its controlled entities to, that is, over physicians, we flip the situation so that physicians have control of the ACO and therefore of the hospital. For example, a physician-controlled ACO, as shown in this diagram. One interesting aside. Obamacare makes it much more difficult for physicians to own interests in hospitals. While counseling clients over recent years in connection with evaluating the acquisition of hospitals, it became apparent that they are capital and labor intensive and are not always as rosy an investment as they, on first look, appear. But while the right hand of Obamacare takes away a good part of the freedom to own a hospital, the left hand presents the opportunity, the ACO, to control the cash without the burdens of ownership. A tremendous opportunity. Contact me when you're ready to start.